Alright, hi everyone. Welcome to this video I've got for you now on building your very own WordPress website. There's a lot of people that want to get online, but I'm not really sure where to start. They'd love the end product of having a website, but some people are just not interested, to be quite frank, in building a website. But unfortunately, it's a process that you have to go through if you don't want to outsource it to someone else. Which is perfectly legitimate. A lot of people do that. I mean, the amount of people that have come to me and said, I don't want to build my own website, can you please build me one? And obviously I'm quite happy to do that for people because that's what I do, but not everybody fancies that. Not everybody wants to build their own. So what I thought I'd do is I'd put together a little video series for everybody and try and keep it as simple as possible so people can basically just get on as quickly as they can to having their own website online. So I'm going to break it up into 3 videos, I think. The first one being setting up our hosting. Now, our hosting basically is an account we have with somebody online where our server is accessed from, and we just pay them a monthly recurring fee for the privilege. In the second video, I'm going to show you how to set up an email account for your new domain, and we'll actually install WordPress itself. Again, it's not a difficult process at all. It's just a few point and click steps, really. And then in the third video, we'll build our own little website. Again, we'll keep it nice and simple. We'll use the what they call the Tesseract theme, which is a free theme, but it's really good for getting started with. And what else will we do? Well, I'll show you how to build a website. Like I say, we'll set up some pages. Well, I'll show you how to install some images, install plugins, set up your own blog, and a few little other tips and tricks along the way just to get you started. So the first thing we'll do is, as you notice here, we're at a2hosting.com. Now there'll be a link for it in the video notes. A quick disclaimer for you: if you click on that link, I do get an affiliate commission from A2 Hosting, so nothing to hide there. It doesn't cost you anything, but feel free, click on that link or go to the website yourself, whichever one you feel more comfortable with. So once you're presented with this page, just check that your geographical location and your currency are set correct for you. And then down here, we're just going to choose this shared hosting option. And we're going to click on Get Started. And then it takes us to our domain page and asks us which domain we're going to use. Now, I've just chosen this one here. Ignore all these details down here. The password will have changed by the time you get to this video, so don't try and log in. So we'll see if this is available. Just take the .co.uk off there. Okay, so the domain's available, which is great, and it's going to cost us £8.35 to register that for the year. So that's pretty cool. It's not too expensive. So we'll click on Continue. And then we just get our summary screen here of a few of our configurable options. Now, depending on what you're setting your website up for, if you're a business and you're in it for the long haul, if you can afford to do it now, I would advise you get a year or 2 years, because you can see there the saving. Just depends how much money you have to lay out at the moment. For the purposes of this video, of course, I'm just going to choose the 1 month, so we just pay month by month. So moving down, you can see there the price is adjusted as well. So we're going to leave this blank. I'm going to leave that ticked, leave that ticked. I'm in Europe, in the UK, so I'm going to choose that. Again, just pick the geographical location which is closest to your neighborhood. We'll leave that blank. Now we're going to get a free SSL certificate with this account as well, which is pretty good. For anybody that doesn't know what that is, when you go to a website, a lot of people will type in http://www.facebook, for example. Once you've got a HTTPS certificate, you type in https www.facebook, and it just makes it a quote-unquote secure connection. It's really good if you're ever taking payments from people as well. It means they can run transactions through your website in a more secure manner. So it's great that we get hold of that. We don't need that for the moment. So yeah, let's keep that as it is. let's leave that blank. Now, the auto installation, I'm going to leave that to none, simply because I want to be in control of what I can configure later on as we go through the install. If you want to, you can say install WordPress for me. I'll be honest with you again, I've never chosen that option, so I don't know what options it chooses when it installs that. I always prefer to do it manually, so I'm going to leave it like that for now. And then we'll click on continue. And we get a brief little summary of what we've done so far. We've got our domain and we've got a year's hosting. We don't need this, we don't need this. I'm going to keep this as individual. Again, if you've chosen a domain with maybe something like a .com or a .org extension, your options in here may well be different. Just pick the one that best suits you. So I'm going to put my registrant name in there. Now this option here is a judgment call. I personally like to tick it, and what that means is your personal and private details won't be added to the Whois database. So if somebody comes to this website, for example, there's lots of other websites you can get this information from, but this is one of the main ones. And if they was to search for your domain name in here, if you didn't choose to opt out, your personal details would all show up in here. But because I've chosen to opt out, if anybody was to search for that domain name, all they would see in here is the A2 Hosting's domain information. So again, it's a judgment call, whichever one you prefer. If you're a little bit more privacy conscious, tick the box, and then we click on continue. And then on our next screen, it's basically just a summary of what we've ordered so far. So we keep that as it is, keep that as it is. Again, here you've got a little option. If you want to choose to register your domain and lock it in for the long term, perfectly okay. Choose whichever one you prefer. I'm just going to leave it for a year. And then on the next screen, it's just going to ask us to enter our personal details, and then that should be the account set up. So we'll click on checkout. And as you can see, we've got this checkout information here. So fill it in, all the appropriate details. Unless you're a business, you probably won't need to register with VAT or anything like that. Let's have a look. Domain registrant information. Yeah, I would leave that blank. Pick a password. Choose your security details. And then we move down to how you want to pay. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to fill in these details. And then I will pick the video back up with you on the next screen. Alright, so we're back. We've just gone through and put all our login details in. We've signed up for the hosting account now, and once you've gone through the payment process, you should be presented with the screen that you see in front of you now. If you're not, don't panic, because I'm just going to log out and then I'm going to show you how to log in and get back to this screen. If you are at this screen, just leave it as it is for the moment and just follow along. So I'm just going to log out. And then I'm going to go to the inbox of my email account. Now this should be the same for yourselves. You've probably got 4 or 5 emails in here. I've gone through and just cleared those out for the moment, just to leave us with this one. And all it is, excuse me, it gives us the details of our login. We can log in through here. Some helpful guides, FTP, how to set up email, this, that and the other, but I'm going to talk you through that anyway. So all I'm going to do, just going to click on login now, and that's going to take me to the login screen. And again, the details here are just these. Don't need that for the moment. Let's get rid of that. These details here, what we set up earlier on, I've just got them saved. So we're logging in, and then just as simple as that, we're back at that screen. First thing to take note of is, you see this number here. If you ever need to log a call with A2 Hosting for the online chat, they'll ask you to put this number in to verify your account first before they'll continue chatting with you. So that's obviously going to be different for everybody. It's going to be a different number for every account. So just bear in mind that's, if they ever ask you for your support pin, that's all it is. So first things first, we're going to click on Manage here. And then we're going to log in to cPanel. I'm going to open that in a new tab. Now, a lot of people panic when they see this screen because there's a hell of a lot of information on here, but this is your control center for your entire website. You can do 1,000,001 things in here. Don't panic though, don't let it stress you out, because you're never going to touch 99.9% of it. All we're going to do, we're going to scroll down first and we're going to set up an email account. So you can see here, it's whatever name we choose at uknationwideguide.co.uk. So for example, if you've got an e-commerce site, you may have, what could we have? Purchases, for example. So it's purchases at UK Nationwide Guide. And I'm going to choose the password. I'm going to pick a password in there. Password in there. Just going to leave that to 250 meg. If you don't change it to unlimited, because it could cause problems later on if you suddenly start getting spammed or anything like that. It's up to you whether you want to leave that. I will leave that for now, and it's simple as this. Just click on create account, and you can see down here how a new email account's being created. So if we click on here, again, you can access the webmail from there, or if you don't want to access it from there, if you go back onto this other screen, you can click on here, log into webmail. So I'm going to do that. And here's your details in here. So it was purchases. Let's just make a note of this so we've got the details of it. Let's purchases and the correct password. Again, I'll just reiterate, don't keep the same password for all your accounts when you do it. This is just for simplicity while I'm going through the tutorial. So let's log in here. Let's take our details. Put our password in. And then for some reason, I don't know why it won't let you go on to anything else until you just click on got it here. It's just giving you a little informational screen. So we'll click on got it. And then you've got basically 3 bits of software here that you can access your email through. I personally like to use this one. And there you go. There's your online email account. And you can see here, you just got a little update after you've set up the account. A little bit of information for you. Okay, so let's just send the test email. So click on compose, it's from, to, and all I'll do here, I'll just send it to the Gmail account just as a test. So let's bang that in there. Testing, this is a test message. You've got an option here to attach a file if you want to send any documents. And then we just click on the little paper plane. And that should wing its way to our inbox in here. It may take a few seconds to come through. Just have to refresh it a few. Oh, okay, there we go. So that's come through quite quickly. So that's all that is. Now, what I like to do, obviously it's a good idea to be able to access your webmail if you're away from your computer. But what I like to do, I've installed Mozilla Thunderbird. Now Mozilla Thunderbird, if you don't know, is a free open source email client. It's very popular, it's really well supported, so it's one I would definitely recommend you get. So once you've downloaded that and gone through the install process, I'll tell you what, just show you where you can get that from as well, just for the sake of completeness. So if we go to Mozilla Thunderbird, you can see here, Mozilla Thunderbird, free download, and then you just go through and install it. So we'll close that. So all we do, open Mozilla Thunderbird, skip integration. If you go into here and go into settings, you've got an option here that says add mail account. So let's pick our name, just this fake name we've made up. Let's copy our email address. then we just need to bang our password in. Should know this off by heart by now. I always choose to remember the password. Click on continue. Now what it's doing, Mozilla will have a database in the background that can look up uknationwideguide.co.uk, and then it can work out that it's associated with A2 hosting. And then what it'll be able to do, it'll be able to pick all these details here out of that database, and this is why it's so easy. You don't have to do anything. So you click on done. It's going to check all the details. Click on OK, and there we go. There's our email account set up with our inbox, and there's that email there is exactly the same as that email there. So again, it's just a little side note if that's how you want to set up your email. I prefer to do it like that. I think it's much easier. So we'll close that, and then we'll crack on with the rest of the tutorial. Get rid of that for the moment. We don't need webmail anymore, so I'm going to log out of webmail. Close that down. We can close that down. And then we're back at our screen from earlier on. So again, remember, you can always access webmail just from there. This time I'm going to log into the cPanel, and we're going to move forward now and install WordPress, which won't take very long because it's a really simple process. Back on the control panel, and you can see here we've got the Softalicious apps installer, and there's lots of pre-built software here for you that you can go through and install. So we're going to choose WordPress, and all we're going to do is click on install. Now here, because we've got our certificate installed, I don't know if you remember from very early on in the video, I mentioned about we get a free SSL certificate. You can see here it's set up with HTTPS. If you look on this little drop down box, you've got HTTP, HTTP, and then HTTPS. It's up to you which one of these you choose. You can either go https://domain name, or you can go https://www.domain name. Personally, I like to choose that. We've only got one domain with this account, so that's by default. The directory we're going to leave blank. Site name, site description we can leave as is just for the moment, because we can change that once we're logged in. Again, I'm just going to choose admin here just for the sake of simplicity. I would strongly suggest you don't choose admin, you choose something completely random and personal to you. Just makes it harder for people to crack into your website there. Again, I'm going to use the same password we're using for all the tests. Make sure you pick something different. Admin email. I might as well put that in there just for the moment. I'll tell you what. I'm actually going to put our Gmail account in there. But put whichever one you prefer. Select the language is English. Advanced options. Don't need to worry about that. Don't need to worry about that. Don't need to worry about that, that or that. Here, if you put your email address in here, it will send you an email after it's finished, just giving you all the details of everything it's done. Don't have to do it. I like to do it just so I've got it for my records. So let's click on install. Now that can take, I think the last time I did this, I timed it at about 6 minutes. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pause the video. All that's going to happen is this little bar is going to go across the screen, and then it's going to tell us that it's installed. So I'll pause the video for now, and then I'll come back to you in a few minutes when it's stopped. Alright, so we're back. That was actually a little bit quicker than I expected, to be honest. The last time it took, I'd like to say 5 or 6 minutes. That was just a couple of minutes, that. So all you're going to get when it's finished installing, congratulations, the software is installed successfully. If we go to our email account, you can see here, look, we just get that review of everything that's been installed. There's the domain name, the admin details. Again, don't worry about all this database name unless you really get deep into WordPress and on databases. Obviously, you're never going to touch this, so don't worry about that. So let's go back to our client area. So that now is WordPress installed, and you can see from here, look, it's give us the link to our website. So first things first, let's open this link. And what it's done, it's installed our website in a very basic format at the moment. That's the latest, I think that's the 2017 free WordPress theme that you get. So that's just how our site looks at the moment. So don't worry about anything on there for now. We'll go through that a little bit later on. And also this here, this is very important, this one. This is our administration URL. This is how we install our themes and plugins and everything for WordPress. And I'll just briefly show you this before continuing on. So let's open that in a new tab. Now, I'll just take a few seconds to come on while it's sorting itself out. But while we're waiting for that, let's just make a copy of those administration details here, so we know where to go. And there we go. That's logged us in now to the WordPress dashboard. And you can see here, this is how we add posts, pages, comments. You can change the theme, plugins. But we'll go through a lot more of that in a few minutes. So you can log out if you come up here, top right hand corner, just click on log out. And then you're out of that screen. We'll close that down. We can close this down because we've taken a copy of these details so we know how to log in. So let's close that down. And we are now back at our client area where we very first started. So we've just gone through, we've installed email, we've installed Mozilla Thunderbird so we can do the email offline and we can put it on our desktop. And we've now gone through and installed WordPress. We're now at the point where we can install the theme and we can start building our website. So I'm going to pause the video there just for a moment. Tested it and we know that it's all working fine. So the next thing we need to do now is move on and actually build our website. So we don't need this screen anymore, so I'm going to click on log out and then I'm going to go to our admin URL. Now for me at the moment it's this one here. So we click on there, we're going to log in with our details. Tell our website we're not a robot. Something with roads on it. Got a road on it. I hate this thing. Okay. So that should allow us to log in now. Right. Now the first thing you're presented with, and this will happen every time, is your WordPress dashboard. And what I want to just quickly tell you about here is this little section here where it says A2 optimized. Now what they've done for you at A2 is they've built a WordPress setup that has a lot of the, as you can probably tell by the title, a lot of optimization set up already. Now I'm not going to go into all the little bits and bobs in there because just for setting up your website you don't need to touch it. But just be aware that it's there and be aware that it's something you may need to touch later on if you ever get to building out a huge website or you need to make some serious changes. First thing that comes to mind is I can see a little number 2 next to my update. So let's go and see what we need to update. So we don't have a new version of WordPress and we can see it's just the themes. Now we're not going to be using either of those themes. We're going to be using the Tesseract theme, so it doesn't really matter about that. So let's move down here. We can see this is where we add posts, where we add images, create pages, appearances. We go into there, that's where we change our theme and where we add our plugins. But what I just want to show you is in here, in this general tab. So we've got our site title and our tagline first of all. And if you're wondering where they are, if I go to my website, if I hover over the top, do you see here? The bit you're seeing there is dictated to by what we put in here. So we move down, obviously change your language for whichever country you're in. I keep the date and time format the same as that, and I would normally click on save if I'd made any changes in there. Next thing I want to show you is the permalinks. Now by default, depending on when you install it or which provider you're with, any of these could be chosen, quite frankly. It can change just sometimes by version. Now, what we want to do is we want to set this to post name. Now, I've never seen a tutorial where anybody has said pick anything other than post name, and the simple reason is it just makes it easier for yourself, for your visitors to your website and for Google to tell what your site's about if it says domain name / and then page name, which basically is what that is. There's no point in saying to Google, my page is called $p = 123. Google's going to have no way of telling what that is, and they're going to have to make a decision on where to rank you based, amongst other things of course, but based on this URL. So keep it to post name, then we go down, we'll click on Save Changes. And then I'm going to go back to my dashboard. Now, one thing to be aware of, now that I've changed the permalink structure, my admin URL has changed slightly. And I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to copy and highlight that. I'm going to copy it, and if we go over to, I logged in before using this one, it's now that one. So it's dropped the question mark off based on what I'd changed. So just be aware of that. If you change it, you may need to go in here and check your admin URL, because you'll struggle to log in if you don't make a note of that. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add our images. So we'll go to Media, Add New. We're going to select Files. We're going to go to our Pictures. I'm just going to click all them. And then it's going to start uploading them. Now this might take a couple of minutes, so what I'll do is I'll pause the video and then we'll pick it back up when this is done. It just saves you hanging on watching files upload. So I'll pause it now. Alright, so we're back now. Our files have uploaded. That's taken probably a couple of minutes. A lot of that will be dependent on your internet connection at well, at home if you're building this from home or wherever you are. So we can click on Library now, and then we'll be able to see all of our images that we've just uploaded, and they're all there available now, ready to use. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to install our theme. So I'm going to come across to Appearance and Themes, and what we're going to do is we're going to install the Tesseract theme, which is available from this link. Don't need to make a note of it. I'll put a note in the video notes for you. And it's a real simple download. Just click on Download Theme, fill in your details if you're feeling nice, or you can just click on No Thanks and it'll start downloading it for you. Should take just seconds really, because it's only quite a small file. So we're going to click on Add New. These are all themes down here that are free themes that you could also use as well if you wanted to, but for now we're going to use this Tesseract theme. So we click on Upload. We're going to choose the file. It's going to be in our Download section. And we click on Install. And you'll see in this bottom left hand corner down here that it's telling you what pace it's at and where it's at in the install process, well, the upload process actually. So it's gone through that. It's going to start installing the theme now. That could take a few seconds because it's got quite a lot to do in the background, so don't panic if it sits there for a bit. Okay, so that's done, and we just need to activate our theme. And again, that will take a few seconds because it's got quite a lot of cleaning up of temp files to do in the background. And you can see now, if we click on UK Travel Guide and we have a look at our website, it looks a little bit different to how it did before, and that's just taking us to our default blog page. So the next thing we're going to do is, if you look here, it says that the theme, to use this theme, it's recommended that you use the Elementor Builder, W3 Total Cache. We don't need to worry about that because that's already installed as default. And WooCommerce. WooCommerce is a shopping plugin So if you want to sell products on your website, if you install the WooCommerce plugin, it will allow you to add products and stock levels and allow people to check out and buy the product through your website. So if I'm going to click on Begin Installing Plugins, and we'll click Elementor, WooCommerce, and then we'll click on Install and Apply. It's going to take a few seconds to do that because it's got to download the plugins first from the WordPress server, the WordPress repository, and then it's got to install them and do a few cleanups after itself as well. Right, there we go. So we can see there that we've installed our new plugins. Now what we need to do is now we need to activate them. So if we go back to our plugin installer, you can see here we've got an activate option now. So we'll click on those two, bulk action, activate, and then we'll just turn them on. Now in a few seconds what you should see here, once WooCommerce is turned on, you'll see a few extra options down this side. So let's have a look. Let's make sure that's installed properly. Right, you can see now, look, WooCommerce and products have appeared here. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add some pages. So let's go to Pages, Add New Page. Now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 7 pages to add, but there's no point in you just sat there watching me add page after page after page because they're all exactly the same process. So we enter the page title in here. Then for now, all we need to do is click Publish. So we've just got to wait a few seconds for that to sort itself out. So that's done. So we'll click on Add New. And then I want to add the next page, which is UK City Breaks. And then we click Publish. So when this one's published, what I'll do, I'll pause the video again. I'll go through and install the rest of the pages because there's no point in you sat there just watching me do page after page after page. Right. So that's done. So I'm going to pause the video, I'll install the rest of them, and I will return in a second. Right, so I've gone through and installed those pages. You can see here we've got 3 pages that represent the kind of breaks that we're going to show on our website. Now we've got a sample page here. We're going to get rid of this one because this just comes by default when you install WordPress. We don't need that. So we'll select that. We just clicked on bin. It's like a recycle bin in Windows. You can go in there and restore a page if you ever delete one by accident. So now we're going to edit one of our pages, our home page, and then we're going to start building our web page. This is where the fun begins now. So we've clicked on home. We want to edit it with the Elementor builder. And then it will bring up a new page with the builder on the left hand side. So you can see here, this is our page. These are all the bits that we can add. But all this is just drag and drop. So you click on it, and drag it to where you want it on your page. This is what makes this Elementor so great. So there's loads and loads of options in here. So just a couple of checks first. Then if you click on the little drop down at the top, you can pick your colour palette. You can change all your default colours, default fonts. Now these are all set to Laura, so I'm going to keep that as Laura because I quite like that font, so we'll leave that. Page settings, I'm going to set that to be a full width template, so watch what happens to this section here in a second. It'll refresh, and then that's gone now because we don't want those blog settings on our home page, which is what this is going to ultimately be. So we can go back, and that's it for now on there. So if we click on the little grid, what we want to do first, we want to add a heading. But well, actually no, I tell a lie. Before we do that first, we want to add a new section. Now all this here is, these are columns, so 1 column, 2 column, 3 column, 3 columns again, but the center column slightly wider. So you just click on that, and then we want to add heading 1. We go back, we want to add heading 2. And I want to add a button as well. So we click on button, and we literally drag it across to the other side of the screen. Now, I want these to be all centered. I don't want them to be on the left. So if we go up to edit our section up here, we click on there. If we go to style, typography, and then if we click on that one there, that will center everything. Now, one option you do have, if you clicked in here individually, you can click and change each one individually as well. You see there? But if you click in the element itself, sorry, the section itself, that's a general setting for everything. So the next thing we're going to do, again, in the edit section, we're going to click on style. And if you look at background type here, we want a classic background, and we're going to pick our image for our home page. And I want this one here, which is a picture of the Lake District. So we'll click Insert Media. Now you'll notice immediately, quite obviously, that the image here is obviously a lot more than what's here. And we need to change that. We need this to be the full screen. So what we're going to do, we go across to layout, content, we want that to be full width. We'll click on stretch selection, and then in the I think it's height, we go fit to screen. So now if I just click on my little arrow here, that will show us what our web page is going to look like. So we can see we've got an image of the Lake District on there. Now I'm just going to adjust that slightly. I'm going to go to style, and I'm going to change size to cover, and you can see how that really makes the image pop now. So if we go back to it, the colour's a lot more vibrant, and it's just a better quality image. But you can see here immediately it's obvious that this heading is a bit washed out. You can barely see that. So let's fix that now. Let's bring up our edit screen again. And if we just click on the heading, we're going to change that. And that is going to be our tagline. UK Travel Guide. Let's take that back there. We want that to be our main title. We want that to be a H1. Now the colour is still a bit washed out. So if we go over to Style, Text Colour, and then if we just drag this from the bottom up to the top, that'll make that pop a little bit now. And then we're going to do exactly the same for the other one. We're going to pick the Best of British. We're going to put that into there. And we want this to be a H2, this one. So leave that as it is. We'll go to Style again, Colour. Now let's have a look So the text stands out a lot more now, but for me it's a bit small, especially the H2 tag here. So let's go back into our edit. And if we go to advanced, sorry, no we don't. If we go to style, and we want this one here, we want to override the typography, and then we get a few more options down here now. So what I want to do is I want to make this a bit bigger. So we click on size, and then we want to drag that, and we can make that as big as we want. So let's make that 45. Let's go to our H1 title. Let's override the typography again, and then we'll make that. Let's make that 100, and then that now really stands out. Yep. Okay. So let's move on to the button now. Let's go and edit our button. So to edit it, we just click on the button itself, and then we've got various options here. We can change the color of it. I'm going to leave it to default. Obviously depends on what text we want to say. So let's call this Explore the UK. And then what we can do is we can make that a clickable link, and then that can take us to one of the other pages. And we do that in here. I'll show you this a little bit later on. I'm going to make it a large icon. And then what we're going to do now, we're going to go into style. And then we're going to override the typography. And then here we can play around with the button a little bit more. So we've got some options here. Again, we can change the font. We can change the weight, which basically just have a look what happens if I change that to 300. Not a lot. Okay, so we'll leave that. Transform, I want to change everything to uppercase. The style, I want to leave that as it is. Now, one thing we want to do down here, we want to have a look at this hover. At the moment, if I hover my mouse over it, you can see there, look, nothing's happening. So I want to change hover, the background color, and then pick your own color. So you can see now, when I hover over it, the color changes. And everything else, well, one thing we could do, we could change it looks a little bit big around the sides for me. So if we go to the text padding, if we click this link, you can see how it looks really, really tiny now. So let's see what happens if we add 10 to the top, say 25 to the right, 10 to the bottom, 25 to the left, for example. So I'm going to leave that as it is now. So let's go back to our main screen and let's just have a look at what we've got here. So we've now got our main image, we've got our title, which tells everybody what it's about, we've got our tagline, and then we've got a clickable button here that we can link to another page. So for me, that's all we're going to do on that little bit. So we're going to move down now, and then we're going to start adding some more content underneath. So let's go back to our main screen. And if we come down here, we're going to add a new section, and I want this to be 3 columns. And you can see here, look, we've got 1, 2, 3 columns. And in these 3 columns, we're going to add a little bit of information about the 3 main pages. So our UK city breaks, coastal breaks, and country breaks. And to do that, we're going to use this option over here called an image box. So I'm going to click it into here. I'm going to click and drag it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this, and I'm going to click duplicate widget, and then I'm going to click it again. And then if you look down, we've now got 3 copies of it. So I'm going to take one of them and drag it over into column 2. And the last one, I'm going to take it and drag it into column 3. Now you can see here, this is really close to our image at the top, which I'm not too keen on. So we're going to click on Edit the Section. We're going to click on Advanced, and then we're going to click on this little, these links here. Basically what happens is if I add a value to the top here, it also adds it to the bottom as well. We don't want it adding to the bottom, we just want it to the top. So if I click on the link there, that makes these boxes independent of each other. So if I just add, let's say 25, just gives us a nice little gap, a bit of definition between top and bottom section. So next thing, we're going to add an image. So we just click on image, choose our image. Now the first one, we're going to have our city breaks. So we'll pick the London skyline. Now that image is a little bit small for me. We're going to want that a little bit bigger. So if we go to style, if you see here, look, if we set that to 100, that just means 100% of that available space. So that's nice, a nice image there. We're going to move on to the next one. We're going to choose our image. And this one, we're going to have our seaside or country coastal breaks. So we'll do the same again. Image is too small, we go to style. Let's make that 100%. Let's do our third one. Let's choose our image, and that's going to be our countryside breaks. So we insert media, we go style, image size is 100%, and then we've got 3 images now that all represent the different kind of breaks that we're going to be offering on this website. So let's change this heading. So all we do, we click on here, we can edit it this side. So we're going to put in UK city breaks. We'll change the next one. Let's call that UK coastal gets away. I seem to have forgotten how to spell. And then we'll move on to this one. And let's call this one UK country retreats. And then in here, of course, you just have a bit of blurb, bit of text about what the actual page is about. So you can say something, I don't know, come check out our deals on the latest UK city breaks. And then what, you know, just fill that out to be whatever you want, really. And then you can do the same for here, the same for here. And then we've got a nice little section there that represents what pages and what we're offering. And you can see how the website's really starting to take place now. It's really starting to build up. So we're going to go back here. And I'm just going to save this. So if we come down to this left-hand side, we just click on save. And then we know everything's safe now. So what we're going to do now, if we go back to the top of our page, we can see here that we've got some pages in here already by default. And I'm going to show you now how to set up the menus. So we've just clicked on save. So we're going to click on the cross, the little X, and we're going to go back to our WordPress dashboard now. So of course, once we've back here again, we can just check out what our page looks like whenever we want, just by going up here. Now, the reason that's happening like that is because we haven't told WordPress what our default home page is yet, and that's what we're going to fix now. So if we go back to our dashboard, and if we go to settings, and if we go to reading, you can see here your home page displays, and at the minute it always defaults to your latest posts. Now we want it to be a static page, so we want our home page to be home, and our blog posts, we want that to be our blog page. So if we go down now and click save, and then once that's saved, we're going to go back, do the same thing we did before, open new tab, and you can see now the page we've just been building shows up. And you can see here it doesn't actually say /home. We don't need it to say that because we've told WordPress what our home page is. So that's how we set that anyway. So let's just close that back down. And I was going to show you how to get the menu set up. So if we go in here, Appearance, Menus, right, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete all this, and I'm going to show you how I recreated this. So let's just get rid of all this. When you log in, you won't see anything here at the moment. Remove that. But this is good for you to see how you remove a page from your menu anyway. Remove. Remove. And then we'll click on Delete Menu. And then that's going to get rid of that for us, and then we'll be able to start from scratch, and I'll be able to show you exactly how to add all that in. Alright, so the first thing you're going to do when you get to this screen is you're going to click here where it says Create a New Menu. And then we're going to give it a name. I'm just going to call it Menu 1. We're going to click Create Menu. And then if you look down this left-hand side, you can see the pages we've created. So we're going to select them all. Well, in fact here, I'm going to click on View All actually. Most recent is literally that, it's just the top few pages that we've just looked at recently. So I'm going to click on View All. So I want Home, Blog, Contacts. Don't know why I've got two homes in there. We'll have a look at that in a minute. Let's add them to, in fact no, I'm going to not put Home on there. I'll show you why in a minute. Let's click on Add to Menu. That's probably because the cache needs clearing out. And then what you can do is here, it will put them in a default order. But what I want to do is I want to move these around a little bit. So if you click on it, and then you just drag it up to the top, and then it'll allow you to relocate it. You see what I'm doing there? Now one other option you have as well, you can make one of these menus a sub-menu of a menu. So if I don't want contacts showing up in my menu structure, I can drag this up over where it says blog, and then if I just indent it a little bit to the right hand side, you see how we've got this gap here now? And I'll show you this in a moment. So we want it to appear in the header. We click on Save Menu. And if I go back to my website now, okay, maybe not. Let's have a look. Right, okay, I've just realised what's happened here. So we've created the menu. If we go to our screen up here, and if we click on Customize, I've seen this happen before. If you go into header options, you look down here, you've got header menu, and at the moment it isn't set to anything, so we just send that to menu 1, and then you can see here how our menus have appeared on the screen. So we'll publish that, and then we'll come out of there. Now, just to go back to what I was on about a second ago, if I highlight the mouse over, you see how this contact menu suddenly appears, and that's from when we indented it a little bit. So we'll just wait for that to come back up, and I'll show you what I mean, just to clarify that. You see here, look, how it's just slightly to the right hand side, and it says there, even says there, sub-menu. Now, personally, you wouldn't ever have a contact page as a sub-menu of your blog page, so all I need to do is just drag that back to the left, and that then becomes a menu all on its own. So we'll save menu. Then once that's saved, we'll load the page again, and then we should see everything all on one line. And you can see there, we've got blog, contact, our pages nicely along the top. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to start trying to link these headers here to these pages, because what we want to happen is when somebody clicks on this page, we want to take it to our new page. So we're going to take a copy of this URL. So let's copy that. Let's go back, and then we're going to edit it in Elementor. And if we come down here, all we need to do is we click on our text here, and then we add our link, and we've got some options here. You can either open it in a new window, or if you leave it as it is, it will just overwrite the existing page. It's a personal choice. If I was you, I would probably say open in new window. So that's what I'm going to do for that. Then we'll do the next one. We want that to link to our coastal getaway page, so we need to know what page that is. So let's open that in a new tab, and we'll get the URL for that. So we're copying that. We'll add it in there. We want it to be, again, in a new window. We'll go back up. We'll get our UK country retreat page. Copy all that. Put that in there, and we'll open that in a new window. I'm just going to click on save. So now what happens is, if I go to view our website as it is, if I come down here and click on here now, it's going to open a new page. So let me just close them down again. So click on there, and then what should happen in a second is we should get the link to our UK City Breaks page. Now, to test this properly, we're going to have to open the website out of the editor. So if you go open that in a brand new tab, so it's just the page as your users would see it. If you come down here now, if we click on the UK City Breaks, you can see there it's going to load up the new page for us. Now, at the minute, this obviously just looks like our blog page because we haven't done any editing to it. So what you need to do is, with these pages as well, you need to open these in Elementor, and we need to build our page. So I'm just going to close that down. And the first thing we're going to do, let's close this down. I'm going to go back to our main screen. And I'm just going to show you a couple more of the options that you can add onto this page before we move on. So obviously you've got lots of different options down here. If you want to add a new section, click on Add New Section, add a column, and let's say we want to add a video, for example. You literally just drag and drop it across, and then it's going to add it. There's going to be obviously a default video there, and then you can change your links for where you want to source the video from. To delete that, again, just go back, remove section, add a new section again. Let's add a Google map. So we drag Google map in there. It's going to take a few seconds just to process where it is. Now it's got a default address in there of the London Eye. Quite happy with that for the moment. If one of our city breaks is London, I just more than anything just want to show you what you can do with Elementor really. If you want to change that, let's change this to Liverpool, for example. So it'll change the map, and then it's going to pick out the city of Liverpool. So let's leave that in place for the moment. Let's go back and let's add a new section. And let's add some social icons. So let's do a search for social icons, and we're going to drag that into here. And by default, you've got Facebook, Twitter, and Google+. If you want to add more, you literally just click on Add Item down here. And then you can keep duplicating that if you want. So let's get rid of that. If you want to change what it is, click on the icon here, and then the little drop down box, and you've got all of these social icons. You've got, I don't know, must be 70, 100 of them there that you can choose from. And that's how you set that up. You add your link in there to your page, and then that's that done as well. So we'll get rid of WordPress. We'll just leave the sort of the big three really, I suppose. And that's really our home page built now, as you can see. So we're just going to start adding a couple of little images, a couple of little icons to our page, just to tidy things up a little bit, just do a little bit of, I suppose you could say, branding. If we go to the top here, you notice this just says UK Travel Guide. Now this itself, the reason I didn't put a home in here is this is by default a link to the home page. So for example, I'll show you what I mean. If I click on UK Coastal Getaway, of course we need to be out of the editor for that, don't we? So we'll bring that up. If I click on UK Coastal Getaway, from here, if I want to go back to our home page, I don't need to look for home. I just click on UK Travel Guide, and that takes us back to our home page. Now, one thing we can do from here, if we click on Customize, we've got some options. We've got header options, and we've got a header logo. So I'm going to click header logo, and I want to change this from text. I want to change it to an image. And you can see here there's an image that I've chosen earlier. So I'll just remove that for now. So all you would do is you would image, select image, we'll pick our Union Jack flag, add that in there, and you can see now that that overwrites our text. So this can be any branding in there. This can be your logo for your site. I've just chosen the British flag because we're the UK Travel Guide. If you want to adjust the height of the image, you can just drag it across left and right, and it'll make it slightly bigger, slightly smaller. One other thing we want to do, if you click on Site Identity, we want to add a site icon. Now if you look up here at the moment, you'll see that you've just got a default overturned page. If I click on Select Image, and I click this other British flag here, we click, let's click Crop Image, it's fine. Now what's happened here, look, our British flag has actually become this icon. Now these will change in a little while when the cache gets refreshed. So we'll publish that. We'll come out of this. So if I go back to my page I've been editing and click on save, it's going to save that. If I click on my little X, go back to the dashboard. Now next time we go in and edit this page, we'll start seeing the Union Jack flag. As you can see there, it's now refreshed. So it's just a little trick for you to make your site look a little bit better. And you can see it there, look, we've got our logo, we've got our menus, and we've got our page for our website. Now one thing I'm going to show you though is we're going to add a contact form, because we want people to be able to get in touch with us if they've got any requests, if they've got any queries about our site. Now if I click on here, you can see there that we've just got a bland, ordinary blog page. So let's go to customize. Well, in fact, no, let's go to edit page. Down here, we'll set this to a full width page. Let's update that. And then let's go back to our page. And you can see now those blog settings have all gone. But of course we want to add a contact form in here. So let's shut this down for the moment. I think we've got too many of these open, haven't we, here? So let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of one of them. And we need to go back to our pages. All pages. Go to contact. Open it in Elementor. And then we're going to add a new section, and we only want one new section here. Now, before we continue, actually, let's just going to take you back a step. Let's just come out of here. Let's just go back to our dashboard. Let's leave that. We don't need to save that for the moment. We'll go back in there in a second. What we're going to need to do, I'm going to open that. I'm going to open this WP Forms in a new tab. Let's get another page open. And this is where we have our contact forms created. Now we don't have one at the moment, so we'll click on Add New. Form name, let's just call this contact form. We want a simple contact form. And it's going to auto-generate one for us. And this is basically what our contact form will look like here. So people can put in their name, their email address and their comment, click on submit, and then what that will do is that will email to us. So it will email what our admin email is set to. Now our admin email is set in here. If we go back to our general, So it will email to this uknationwide@gmail.com. So we're going to click on save, and that's going to save our default contact form. Let's close that. And we can see here we've got something what we call shortcode. And all that is just a link that we can add into our page that shows up the contact form. So I'm going to take a copy of that, click on copy. Now we're going to go back to our page, and now we're going to edit our page in Elementor. So let's go contact. Could have clicked on edit with Elementor if I'm honest. It's just another option. Just cuts out a step. Edit with Elementor. We want to add a new section, a single column, and then if we look down here, we've got shortcode. So let's drag that into there, and then let's paste in our shortcode, click on apply, and there we can see now we've got our contact form. So I'm going to save our page, and we're going to have a look at it actually live as it would look. So let's open our new fresh page. Let's click on contact, and we can see there that's what our form will look like. It looks a little bit strange there, the formatting, simply because we're in our editor. So if I just put in what is my name, Fred Blogs, what's my email address, abc@fredblogs.com. Hello, I like your site. And then the user would click on submit. Then they would see the message saying thanks for contacting us, we'll be in touch shortly. And then when you go to your admin email, your Gmail account or whichever account you set up, then that's where you'll see the email from them. And that's how you set up your contact form. And then the user can click on home and they can get back to the home site. So we're not far off finishing this little tutorial now. We've gone through, I've shown you how to create a page, how to add images, how to change text sizes, how to add buttons, for example, down here, how to go through some of the text, the menu options from Elementor, like adding maps and videos, things like that. Alright, so one of the last things we need to do now to finish off this tutorial is set up WooCommerce. So just to remind you from earlier on, WooCommerce is for selling products on your website. So you can add stock levels, set delivery addresses and take payments and that kind of thing. So to do that, we're going to need to install a plugin. So if we come back over to our dashboard, plugins, add new plugin, you'll get to this screen here. If we look at popular, first of all, just to give you an idea of what plugins are out there. It'll give you a list here of a lot of the really big popular downloaded plugins. You'll see here all of these, if not pretty much all of these have all got 1 million plus downloads, which is huge. The one we want to get is this WooCommerce one here. You see here, 1 million active installations. So we'll click on install. Don't worry if it takes a few seconds, because there's quite a lot going on in the background. It's got to download it, then it's got to do some database changes in the background as well. So it could take a while to do. So you can see we've got an activate option now. So we'll click on activate. It'll go through the process again of updating all the tables and everything in the background. Now one of two things will happen here. It could take us straight to the WooCommerce wizard, or it could just take us back to take us to this screen and keep us where we are. Depending on how it reacts and how it responds, depends on... Right, here we go. Sometimes what happens is you get a WooCommerce setup wizard automatically start, but it hasn't done it this time, which is fine, that's not a problem. So we'll click on set up the wizard here, and then we're going to need to put in some dress details. I'm just going to make it up. Alright, that's auto-filled it from an earlier setting, which is absolutely fine. Just put through what's appropriate for you. Choose your currency. In this instance, we only plan to sell physical products. We're going to untick that because we don't want to send any information to WooCommerce. Let's click on the next stage. And in the next box, we're going to set up how we accept payments for our products. For the purposes of this example, we're just going to set up a PayPal standard, put in our PayPal email address. We're going to click on continue now. And then we come to our shipping. So for our flat rate of shipping, it's going to cost us, let's say, $5.99 to Nelly said email to post something out. If we have zones maybe in other countries that we need to post to, we're going to say it's going to cost $15.99 for shipping. We're going to leave the weights and units as they are. Choose next. We'll continue. We're going to leave this for the moment. We aren't going to bother setting that up. And then from there isn't really anything other to do really, apart from start adding our product, because this section here, we're also going to skip this. We don't need this for the moment. There's a hell of a lot to do with WooCommerce. There's a lot of documentation that you're going to need to read if you want to set this up properly, but this gives you a real good grounding of the process you need to go through. So we're going to create a product. We're going to give it a title. What you'll get is this little help screen will come up on the first time, so we'll just click on dismiss. We're going to sell a Union Jack t-shirt. Union Jack t-shirt. It's going to be a simple product. It's going to cost us, let's say, $10.99 to sell it. And what I'll do here, I'm going to type in the same thing as I did up here, but just so you can distinguish where the difference is, I've just put a couple of stars either side of it. So then we need to pick a product image. This is the image that we're going to sell. Set product image, and then we'll publish that. Alright, so let's go away now and just check what that gives us. So there's our image of our product we want to sell. Here's the description, and you can see here, look, this is where we added the stars down here. The product short description. So if we want to buy something, we want to buy one t-shirt, you just click add to basket. We can view our basket. There we go, we can see our products. Proceed to checkout. And then you just go through, add in all your salient details. Click on PayPal, place the order, and just check out like any other website that you've ever bought anything from PayPal. Now, the next thing we need to do is we need to get give people a method to be able to get to this shop, because at the moment, from our home page, look, we have nothing in our menu, and we have nothing on this page that we've just built. So the first thing we'll do is we'll edit this page with Elementor. And then we'll go through the same process we did earlier on in the video as these. But we just want to add another one just above the map. So if we come down, we want to add a new section. It's going to be a single column. You can see here where it's placed it, but it's placed it in the wrong position. We want it up here. So if we go up to our section, it'll highlight in blue. We just click on it, and then we just drag it up to where we want to place it, and we let go, and you can see it's now in here. So if we go back to our menu, we're going to add an image box. We drag it in. We're going to choose our image. This image is here is what's going to represent our store or our shop. We're going to change the heading. Check out my shop. You can be a little bit more creative in the title. Check out souvenirs. It would help if I could spell. Of the UK. And then we're going to make, you can see here there's all this white space at either side, which doesn't particularly look very attractive. What we'd like to do, we'd like to make this image the same width as that. Well, this whole box here actually the same width as that. So to do that, if we click on Style, we're going to set our image size to 100%. Now that's made that massive, but don't worry about that just for the moment. So we can see now we've got a huge image here, but we want to make this a lot smaller. So if we come up here and we click on Edit Section, we want to adjust this content width. So you can either drag that across, and you can see the image adjusting there. We'll go a bit smaller, a bit smaller, a bit smaller. Still not matched up with here, so let's take it down to, let's say, 400. And that's more appropriate. So let's just save that, and let's have a look what that looks like on our actual site now. So if I just refresh this page, we've now got an image here with our description and a title to say what it is. But of course we need this to link to our shop page, which it doesn't at the moment. So what we'll do, back in here, we need to find out what our shop page is. So before we do this bit, we're going to add, it into the menu up here. So from here, if you come down to Appearance and Menus, remember this is how we set up our menus earlier, if you remember. We've now got a shop page added in here, so we need to tick that and add that to our menu. I'm just going to drag that up a couple of spaces, click on Save Menu. And then when this is saved, we'll open our main page again. And you should see now we have this shop link here. So we want to take this shop page, so this link here, and we want to add it in to here. So if we click on save, so now when we go back to our home page and we scroll down to our shop, basically anywhere we click now is going to take us to our shop page, and then we can just process whichever product we want to buy. Of course, as you add more and more products, they'll just show up in here, and then eventually you'll scroll down and there'll just be more and more products in there. So that is pretty much everything you're going to need for the moment. Keep checking back with the site, and I'm going to be adding a lot more videos as the weeks move forward. It's coming up to Christmas now, so it might be a little bit slower at the moment. They might all appear after Christmas. Any questions or comments that you've got, just leave them in the section below the video. I'll put links to everything that I've used in this video as well, so you've got access to be able to find them quickly and easily. So yeah, good luck with everything. Any questions, just let me know, and I will try my best to help you out. So good luck, and I'll speak to you all soon.